week 2, and this is now the beginning of your C programming journey. So we've already actually seen a lot of algorithms and procedures and pseudocode, but none of it was actually executable. So now we are going to write something that your computer can execute. Just to give you an overview, um, all the algorithms and pseudocodes that you've written till now were just preparations to writing actual code. Your computer cannot understand pseudocode or algorithm. Some of you had these doubts that can we actually execute pseudocode or can we execute algorithm? No, we can't. In order to do that, we actually have to write programs, right? So program is the actual unit of computation. So when you want to do certain tasks from over a computer, you have to write a program to do that. And whatever program you write, there has to be a software that has to be installed on your particular computer, which can interpret this into a language that your computer understands. So we've seen what that language looks like. We've seen it looks like zeros and ones, so or it at a higher level, add, store, load, that kind of thing. So that particular language that we are going to use for writing our programs is C, and the software which is going to interpret that into something that the computer can understand is GCC. And I hope that by now all of you have already installed GCC on your machines. So let's go back to the same quadratic equations that we've been seeing till now. If we assume that they are basically having only real roots, I've just named this procedure with real root because we are only assuming that these are going to have real roots. So now this pseudocode is very compact. Okay, you simply calculate the discriminant and then you find these two roots and then you output them somehow. So now let us start with our first C program. I'm actually going to use Vim, but you can use any editor that you want. The idea is that you start with creating a file whose extension is .c. Okay, so this is the file that I'm creating, quadratic equation with real root solver.c, and this is the first program that I have typed. It's a very small 19 lines program. In fact, not all the lines are actually occupied, so the number of lines are much lesser. um, and for now just ignore line number 1 to 4. Okay, so just focus on this part, right? Line number 5 to 19. So you've already seen that when we wrote a procedure, we wrote it inside these curly brackets or braces as we call them in the computing world. So let us just understand everything. This is basically the equivalent of your procedure that you have just written a pseudocode for. So let's start inspecting certain sections of this code. So these lines 6, 7, and 8, they basically what they do is they are actually declaring three variables. And now if we go back to that discussion that we had, that what exactly is a variable and what exactly is a constant. So one of the things that I said was that if there is something that can appear on the left hand side of the equal to sign, then that is surely a variable. So you can now see that even though in the pseudocode we simply set inputs, now you can see that here I am actually providing them some explicit values 1, 2, and -15. So it is now sure that A, B, and C are variables, something that some of you might actually have been confused about. So let's just take one of these statements and try to understand what this statement actually says. So what this statement is essentially saying, what it is actually trying to instruct your computer is something like this: reserve some space in the main memory to store one integer. Okay, so this int is, it stands for integer. Create a name for that particular location, and the name is A, and from here on every time I say A, just understand that basically I'm talking about that particular memory location. And this equal to 1 part means that go and store the value 1 at that particular memory location. So this is what this particular statement, when GCC translates it into the code that your system can understand, this is basically what will be translated. Somehow it will translate it to say all these things. Similarly, the line number 12, it says instead of int, you can see here double. Okay, So what double really means is that this is supposed to store a value which is not an integer but a real number. Okay, so a real number can have a decimal place as well. So instead of 5, 6, 7, it could be 5.5, 6.6, 7.7. The value that is stored, right, similar to 1 that was there for the integer, the value that is stored here is returned by calling a library function. So you guys probably already know what a library function is. It is a procedure that was written by someone else for you. So this sqrt function, the library function, is being used here, and whatever the sqrt function does, right, whatever it actually calculates, that is stored back at the memory location, which is now named as root D. Now these library functions are actually made available to you on demand. Okay, so by default they are not available to your program. So in order to demand that I need that particular function, you basically issue some statements, right? So now at line number 2, this is what that particular statement was, right? So this is written as hash include math.h. So whenever you create your own programs, the file extension is .c, but let us say you want to use someone else's procedures, they'll most probably be defined in a file that ends with the extension .h. So .h files are also known as header files, and usually one header file will have multiple library functions. So not just sqrt, but math.h has many other functions as well that you can use. And these are some simple examples of how computation is done. So this is, you can already see that this is very similar to the pseudocode that we have already seen. So asterisk stands for multiplication, slash stands for division, and one thing that you have to realize is that in mathematics you have three different types of brackets, the small brackets, the curly brackets, the large brackets. But here when you are writing expressions like this, the only bracket that you can use are the small brackets. So it is possible to if for example at any point of time you need more brackets than one, then you simply reuse the small brackets again. Okay, you can't use, so for instance you can't put a curly bracket here. Okay, it's basically, if you want to put this expression again in a bracket, use another set of brackets. And these small brackets are also called as parentheses. So we will, in the next lecture I will show you when it's, so for example you can see that here I have not used any brackets, but here I have used some brackets. So it is just to give you an idea of exactly why, so I'll give you an idea of exactly why I'm using brackets here but not here, parenthesis here and not here. That I will discuss in the next lecture. But for now the only idea you need to understand is that there are no curly and large brackets. Wherever you want to use expressions inside brackets, you simply use the small brackets, and or that call as parenthesis. So now this is another invocation of a library function, just like sqrt. The name of this function is printf. Printf is basically a function that can print something on your screen. Okay, so printing is a terminology that we use for displaying something as an output. So what you can do with the help of printf is that you can either print a simple message to the user, or at the same time you can see something like %d %d here. Okay, so why we use this %d is because let us say I have some variables whose value I want to output. In that case, there is a specific format in which I can use printf. I will just talk about printf in a little more detail in just a minute. But before that, uh, just understand that line number 1 had this particular statement, hash include stdio.h. So this stdio.h is basically the header file which is bringing printf for the use in your program. So that math.h was bringing sqrt, and printf is being brought by stdio.h. So basically whenever you use any library function, you should know which header file this particular library function is defined in. So there is just one more statement that we have not yet talked about, and this was line number 4, where I have written something like int main. There is another statement that is at the bottom which says return 0. But as of now, try to understand that whenever you are going to write some code in C, there is basically a kind of default procedure inside which you are going to write your code, and main is that special procedure, and return 0 is just basically saying that this, because you understand that any every procedure has some output or return statement, right? So for example, that discriminant function that we were seeing during the pseudocode, that was returning the value of the calculated discriminant. So similarly, main also is a kind of procedure, and it is supposed to return something. So by default we simply say return 0. Okay, that return 0 does not have a significance for you as of now. You could write basically return anything else as well. As of now, any integer will be fine, but usually we say return 0. There is a reason for returning 0, but let us not get into those details as of now. So for now, just what you can basically say is that main is a kind of main procedure. Okay, so essentially whatever code you write, you simply write that code inside the main procedure, main, and then those curly brackets or braces as we call them. Okay, we will discuss main at length later, but for now just understand that this is something that this is kind of syntax requirement for you. Okay, whenever you want to write any piece of code, um, it has to be written inside the main procedure. So let's just spend a little more time on this printf library function that we just saw. I did not discuss it in detail because this requires a little more time. So first thing that I have actually used the term printing before. So this is actually a common term in computing. Okay, so printing text is essentially the way we say uh, we are going to show something on the user's screen. Okay, so whenever we are going to show something, we simply say I am going to print this text on the user screen. So for example, if I simply want to print a hello to my user, I just write printf and then hello. Right now, you have to understand that there is something here, right? I mean, what are these? So these are the quotes character. Okay, quote characters, as in there are single quotes and double quotes. So this is basically the double quotes. And the term that we use, not just in C but in general in programming, for these kind of messages, right? Um, uh, these kind of English language words is basically a string. Okay, so a string is nothing but a sequence of some certain characters, right? So here there are characters like H, E, L, L, O. There can be other characters as well, special characters. You can also write numbers as characters if you want to want to write them as part of your message. Um, so one thing that you can understand here is that anything that is inside these quotes, this is basically considered as a string. Okay, and not just in C. Most in almost all programming languages, strings must be put inside quotes, right? So this is how your compiler is able to differentiate between a string, a message that is supposed to be shown to the user, versus the actual text that you write, right? So basically printf is the part of your programming language, and this, whatever you write within the codes, is a kind of message, right? So C doesn't care what this message is. It simply says, okay, whatever you are writing inside this, printf is just going to show it to the user. Now printf can also print values for certain variables, so it's not just useful for showing messages to the user. It can also be used to show the values of certain variables. So what you really do is, you actually can say to the printf that, see, I want to show this message to the user, but there is a placeholder in this place, in this string, and at this particular placeholder, please paste the value of a certain variable that I have declared in my program. So variables like A, B, C, and D that we have already declared in this program, so they are eligible to be pasted when printf is showing any particular message. So for example, if we go back to this particular line, the roots of the equation percent d x square plus percent d x plus percent d equal to 0. So essentially this is just a formulation of your ax square plus bx plus c. So this percent d is basically saying that, you know, whatever is the value of a, it should be pasted here, whatever is the value of b, it should be pasted here, and whatever is the value of c should be pasted here. So now the user will basically see, okay, if a's value is 1 and b's value is 2, so user will say 1 will see 1x square plus 2x, and if c is, let us say, 3, then user will see 1x square plus 2x plus 3 equal to 0 r. And then, you know, there are two roots that we calculated in our pseudocode, x1 and x2. So there are two more placeholders here, percent %lf and percent %lf. And so what these so-called placeholders are essentially a way to tell printf that you are supposed to paste certain values here. And percent %d and percent %lf are basically indicators that these values are going to be integers and these values are going to be double. So wherever I have put percent %d, it means printf is supposed to replace these values with some integer, and wherever I have written percent %lf, it means that printf is supposed to replace them with some real number. And what are these values? What are the values that printf is supposed to replace them? Well, we simply supply them after this string, right? So this is something that you have to understand, that if it is possible to call printf like this, so where I am not supplying any values after this particular string, because, well, there are no placeholders. But if there are any placeholders in my string, I simply supply all the values in that particular in that, for that particular printf statement right after this string. Okay, so one thing that you have to understand is that printf takes at least one argument. Okay, this is the argument of the string that you are supposed to show. And uh, argument, by the way, is a term that I have not discussed specifically. So arguments are just inputs to a function, right? So for the sqrt function, it was supposed to accept exactly one argument, okay, the number whose square root is required. So that is why we gave sqrt the value d, right? We calculated d first, and then we wanted to calculate root of d, so we just supplied d as an argument to sqrt. And if a function takes more than one argument, we simply separate them by commas, right? So this is why I had a comma b comma c in the previous slide. And the order of arguments matters. This is something that you have to understand, that whenever you are invoking a function, so whenever we write something like this, func x comma y, we basically say we are invoking this function will be executed, and the result will be brought back. So whenever you are invoking a function, um, x comma y, okay, so these are two arguments for this function, is different from invoking it like y comma x, right? So the order actually matters. So please be careful that this order has to be exactly like this. And this is why when we are supplying those values to printf, the order in which those variables are supplied are important, right? So they must match with the order in which those placeholders were shown, right? Those placeholders like percent %d and percent %lf. So if I say percent %d percent %d percent %d percent %lf percent %lf. So if there are 5 placeholders, then the first 3 here are percent %d, and so the first 3 arguments after the string should be integers. And then if there are 2 percent %lfs, then the next 2 arguments must be floats. So this is something that you will have to remember actually, that percent %d is used for integers, and for real numbers, uh, for now we have seen that their data type that we declared was double. So for real numbers or doubles, you need to use percent %lf. Okay, and as I said, the variables must be provided in the same order in which the format specifiers were provided. So now this is all. This is basically the first C program. This is going to calculate the quadratic equations root. This time it is a fixed quadratic equation, x square plus whatever, x square plus 2x minus 15 equal to 0. So this is how you actually invoke your GCC. you simply say, before executing the program, you have to interpret it, right? Interpret it into the language that your computer can understand. So that step is known as the compilation step, and that compilation is done by a software tool called compiler, and for us that tool is GCC. So now this is how we are going to invoke GCC. We simply say GCC space the name of the file that we want to compile, okay, and this should be a .c file. Now usually when you do this GCC space the name of the file, it should actually compile, but here there is a there is a small problem. The problem is that the so-called sqrt library function that we used, um, GCC really doesn't know where to find it, right? So this is a problem, that even though I included the header file math.h, the issue is that by default GCC doesn't actually GCC is not ready to simply include any library that you ask it to include, and this is why it actually needs some help from you, right? So, and that help is basically this minus lm after your after your C file's name. So what this lm will actually do is minus l is a switch for GCC. So you guys have already used switches for other commands in bash. So minus l is a switch for GCC, and m is a shorthand for the math library. So what this is now really doing is that GCC is being told to include the math library at the time of compiling your code. So we call this step where you ask GCC to add additional libraries so that your code can be compiled. This step is known as linking. Now we are not going to discuss linking today. I'll probably so this is the part of a different lecture. It is not a part of your curriculum, so I'm not going to discuss it at depth here. I will actually add another lecture which is a kind of an extra lecture. If you are interested in knowing what is linking and what is loading and what is compiling a little more details, you can watch that lecture. But for now, all you need to know is linking is basically a process where you actually add additional libraries, okay, libraries which someone else has written. So now this code will this particular command will execute without any errors. You can see there were no errors now, and what it will do is that translated machine code that I was talking about, that is stored in a file called a.out, okay, and this a.out is inside the current directory, wherever you invoked GCC, wherever you gave the GCC command. And if you want to simply execute your program, that is the way, right? You simply say dot slash, and remember dot is basically your current directory, dot slash a dot out. So you simply write the name of your file on shell, and if you press enter, this is the output of your program. So now you can see that the percent d's that we had put, they have been replaced with 1, 2 and minus 15 respectively, and the percent lfs that we put, they are now be they haven't they have printf has replaced them with the values of x1 and x2, right? So this is the output of your program. There is don't bother about why this prompt is appearing right here as of now. Just ignore that part. You will come to know how to bring this prompt on the next line. I'll give you a hint in the next lecture how to do that, but for now you can see that this program has given this particular output. So now this is your homework. I am not going to discuss the homeworks as usual, but please start doing these homeworks because they will get intense now, and so it's important that you try it out. A lot of learning is not in the lectures but basically doing your homework, right? So a lot of learning would be a part of your homeworks. So this is the first part of your introduction to C lecture. The second part I will be in the second part I will discuss a lot more, especially in this lecture we did not see the inputs being taken by the user. I simply provided a b c, some static values, and so this is as we have discussed in our lecture slots. here, even though a, b, c are variables, we simply treated them like constants because this program can only solve one particular quadratic equation. If we want to make it more generic, we should take the inputs from the user. So how to do that, that will be there in the next part of your lecture. Thank you.